I'd like to welcome you all. I'm Michelle Boomhauer, and I'm the Division Director for Policy Planning and Intermodal Development, which includes our research program, along with our rail, aviation, and public transit programs, mapping, and permitting, and a few other things. So we have a very diverse group. Some folks are here today from the division. It's great to see so many of our partners from industry, from federal highways, and from our research community at UVM and other locations. So thank you all for joining us. The 8th Annual Research and Innovation Symposium is before us today, and we'd like to thank you all for making the trip to the Barry Auditorium here to learn more about these 24 research and innovation projects and to hear from our expert researchers and presenters. We had 130 advance in-person registrations and expect more folks to join us online during the day today. So it's really become a very successful event. The symposium highlights the importance of research and innovation, innovative thinking, and sharing what we are doing in these arenas. We hope that you can make connections with the presenters and view their projects and think about how you could use the results of this research in your work. We are eager to learn from the posters and presentations in the technical sessions, interact with our presenters, some of whom brought items to demonstrate their projects. All of the posters and demos, as you know, are here in this room. And we encourage your feedback on the symposium, including the posters, sessions, venue, food, etc. And on the inside the back cover of the agenda, you will see a QR code where you can link to our evaluation page, and Ashley will also be sending a link out following the research symposium to get your feedback. So, start thinking now about your favorite posters and presentations to submit to the People's Choice Award. And I want to thank Dr. Emily Parkaney, Ashley Mercado, and all staff from the agency, Federal Highways, and our research partners who made this day such a successful event, as well as from our consulting community who are great partners in working together with us in all of this research. I'm going to now turn it over to our Federal Highway Vermont Division Administrator, Randy Warden, for his welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning. It's quite the honor to be here. I am that guy. Been with Federal Highways for about 17 years, and I do want to let you know that research is so important to us. And that's why I'm so happy to be here. I'd like to make 2 points today if I could. Number one, you. This is your opportunity. We at the Federal Highway Administration, again, appreciate what you do. And why it's so appreciated is that you think about the work world we're in, resources in the form of manpower, materials, hard to come by. Inflation is absolutely eating our lunch. Hopefully that's better. But part of the solution is you and the good work that you do. So I want to let you know it's appreciated. I'm sure our state partners appreciate your efforts as well. But if you get a moment sometime today, think about the value you add. As a matter of fact, if your arm's long enough like mine, pat yourself on the back because you deserve it. The second point, this is such a great opportunity to be amongst your colleagues. So I would urge that you communicate, that you talk to your partners, tell them what's going on in your work. That's how it gets done. Mladen and I were talking this morning about the collective efforts of the research. It's so important that you communicate. So talk to your neighbors, talk to your partners. You're getting a cup of coffee, talk to the person beside you. It matters. There's a gentleman by the name of Terry Pratchett who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, and he said, the best research is talking to people. The best research is talking to people. So I urge you to talk to one another, find out what's going on in their world, your world, share your problems. You never know, you may find the solution today. So thank you very much. Happy to be here. I'll be around. Love to know more about your research. And that's it. So I think Todd's up next. Glad to be here.
So good morning, everybody. I'm Todd May. I'm the Director of Innovation and Process Improvement for Indiana Department of Transportation. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody for being here, but also to Vermont DOT for hosting me and inviting me to come out and speak a little bit about what we're doing within Indiana with respect to innovation, but also really developing that culture of trust within the workings of innovation and how does that work. One of the first questions I get is within Indiana and the Indiana Department of Transportation, how do innovation and research work, right? At the end of the day, we are two different departments. We don't report to the same deputy commissioners. That's a really good thing because what it does is it forces us to talk. We collaborate extraordinarily closely, whether it's through research programs, STIC programs, Build a Better Mousetrap with our LTAP partners. And I'll touch on that collaboration, but know that we work very closely with innovation. We typically have the chicken and egg conversation. Is innovation triggering research or is research triggering innovation? So we can have that conversation here. So to give you an idea of what Indiana looks like, we got about 4,800 miles. The big thing is that we're divided into 6 districts, 2 north, south, and central. And tons of road signs, tons of panel signs, bridges. These are assets that everybody deals with, right? We're all filling potholes, we're all repairing signs, we're all building bridges and roadways and whatnot. But what we do know is the number one asset that we have is our employees. We got about 4,000 employees. And I urge you all to, who all has heard, man, we just can't hire enough, we have vacancies, we have this, we have that. We hear that all the time, right? If we're having that conversation all the time, clearly that is a very important factor for agencies across the country. So in about 2018, 2019, as an executive team, we decided we need to do an all-employee survey. We need to figure out what's going on with our employees, with our different districts, and this was everybody within the agency. It was one of those situations where, you know, we said, here comes the survey. We want to, you guys give us the truth. We want to hear the truth, good, bad, or indifferent. At the end of the day, what we didn't realize was we probably couldn't handle the truth because what we were expecting was not really what we got. We got about 70% response rate, which blew us away. We thought we might get 40 to 50%. We figured we would hear, give us more resources, pay us more, give us more training. We need more people, right? We didn't get that. What we got was the workforce isn't heard. The people who work here, the management doesn't listen. Executive team doesn't listen. No one trusts each other. That was one that really hit hard with us. And communication is non-existent. I will tell you that we thought we were killing communication. We thought we were knocking it out of the park. We had newsletters. We had video newsletters. We had communications. We thought we were killing it. Some of the quotes that we got really hit home and sucked the absolute air out of the room when we started reading them. When feedback is given, nothing is done with it. That one was pretty tough to hear. Trust is a two-way street. If the field force isn't trusted, then we don't trust the management. So this is where our starting point was. And I share that because, again, this was in 2018, 2019, so we realized we got to do something around our mission, vision, and values. We need to do something around our messaging. We need to actually figure out how we can sort of rebrand ourselves. So what we did was we established and had a working relationship with KPMG to revamp our mission, vision, and values. We took out one of our values, which was excellence, because one of the first questions in one of the first meetings was, how do you measure excellent? I was telling some folks last night at dinner, I said, for me, C's get degrees, so excellent was pretty good if I got a C, but I had a lot of friends that made A's, and I thought, man, that's pretty excellent. So, there's a sliding scale there. So we took excellence out and we put innovation in, and it was really reflective of why and what we heard in the all-employee survey. In the case, by including innovation as one of the values within the strategic plan, we really recognize the need to enhance these capabilities. And this was far-reaching. This was far-reaching not only to the folks who, what we call HTs, that are filling the potholes and picking up, litter and those kinds of things on the roadway, all the way up through our management, as well as within our research group too, because there was a big disconnect in what was happening. So what did we do, right? What we did was what every big organization does. We had tons of meetings. We figured out we're going to have meetings, and then we had a couple meetings, and then we planned some more meetings, and we kept working through, and what we decided was we really need to communicate better. We need to establish a committee that is focused on innovation, and that's where I came in. I was asked to stand up an innovation department, and I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. And our commissioner at the time said, we'll figure it out, go. We knew that we needed to collect ideas, so we set up a web portal for ideas to come in for all employees, and our mission as an innovation group was we were focused on all levels within NDOT to get innovative ideas and research ideas into this portal so that we knew and we conveyed to our workforce that they were being heard. And we also wanted to recognize folks that did that, and we have the ability to give spot bonuses. I know not all states are able to do that, but we, for our winning innovations, are able to do spot bonuses. So we did this, right? First thing I will tell you is I believe it was day 2 of being named the Innovation and Process Improvement Director. I had somebody walk into my office, and he said, we tried this 5 years ago and it didn't work, so you probably ought to figure out what you're going to do next. Super. So we had tried it and failed. Flavor of the day. I learned quickly that we're not going to talk about lean systems or Kaizen or Six Sigma, because we had heard that. We had preached that. It doesn't necessarily have teeth when the rubber meets the road, no pun intended. Tradition, very proud group of workers. You all have those as well. Everybody, I would challenge you, go out and talk to folks who have been in the construction group or the research group and say, what are you most proud of? And they say, I built highway da-da-da-da, or I built bridge XYZ. It's incredibly humbling to see the amount of pride that folks have. Comfort, nobody likes change. I had somebody tell me one time the only person that likes change is a wet baby. At the end of the day, that's probably true. So here we go with another central office initiative. That was what we kept hearing. And they're just pushing it down our throats, guys. It'll pass, it'll pass. So I figured we got to communicate this. We got to talk about our committee. We got to talk about ideas. We got to talk about the bonuses. Nothing happened. So I'm like, what am I going to do next? We're just going to yell it louder, right? We're not going to change our message. We're just going to make it louder. We're going to say the same thing. So at the end of the day, I just kept pounding this. Here's what we're doing. And ultimately what I got was this. I got nothing. And I had forgotten, and this was on me and our group, I had forgotten what the feedback from the survey said. The feedback from the survey said, if you remember, they don't trust us, so we don't trust them. I didn't have the trust. So you just heard somebody say, or Randy say at coffee, talk to people. What are we taught as babies and as little kids? Don't talk to strangers, right? Ooh, don't talk to strangers, stranger danger. But that feedback is true. It pervades our thoughts as we are adults, is to make sure that we don't want to talk to people, right? And so I decided, we got to build this trust one little marble at a time, like a little marble in a jar. This is not going to be something that's overnight. This is a process. This is like eating an elephant one bite at a time. We just have to keep nibbling away, nibbling away, and nibbling away. There was one instance that drove this home that if I live to be 100, I won't forget. So on the left, that gray Ford Fusion, that looks pretty close to what my state vehicle looks like. The license plate is 60018. People know that anytime a license plate says 600, that's a central office employee, okay? What I didn't realize, my radio one day, I happened to have it on, I drove into a district, and it lights up, and I start listening, they say, there's a pink Cadillac on 231. Didn't know what the heck they were talking about. And then a few minutes later, it looks like a pink Cadillac's headed to the district building. That was code. Central office is in the district, right? We didn't have the trust. So now what our cars look like is this, and now the message is, hey, the innovation group is coming. We'll meet at the traffic building, we'll meet at the research building, we'll meet at the super paved building, whatever. We started building that trust because we were present. We were no longer strangers. We were in the districts, we were talking to them, and we were actually curious about what they were doing. Again, it didn't happen overnight, but being present is the key to building that trust. People fear what they don't know. So we knew that we had to be change agents. We knew as an innovation group and a research group, we had to be change agents. We had to not say no. It's really hard. Sometimes you see ideas and you go, ooh, But we changed that to how might we? How might we get this done? And I tell you the reason why. If somebody trusts you enough to come to you with an idea and you hit them with no, they are not going to come to you with another idea because the answer was no. And remember the feedback that we got. The answer was no. They don't listen to us. So how might we get that done? We had to check our ego at the door. And this really started from our commissioner all the way through our exec team, myself, and our group in innovation. While I've got folks that have been on paving crews on some of our innovation councils for decades, the goal for them is to continually learn and to check our ego at the door. That's one reason why I'm here. One of our executive priority points is intentional partnerships. This is an intentional partnership because I promise you I'm going to look at the posters and there's going to be something that I take back. Yes, we do culvert inspections with some what we call an autonomous vehicle, but that's a pretty darn good idea, right? So let's figure out how might we be able to do that and check our ego at the door. We got to find ways to replace that what we've always done mentality. Just because a guy said in 1972, this is the way we fill a pothole, or this is the way we pave, or this is the way we build a bridge, that guy's been retired for decades. There's better ways of doing things, okay? Let's figure that out. Let's talk, let's have conversations around that. I just touched on the intentional partnerships and the spot bonus. Recognition is very big for the innovation group. I will tell you through COVID, when we named our winning ideas, our employees who have a winning idea get a $500 spot bonus. We were the only agency in the state that was able to do spot bonuses for our employees. Other agencies did not happen. And so that shows the buy-in that we get not only from our agency, but from our governor and really embracing the initiative of innovation. I talk about trust a lot, and trust is very hard to earn and it's very easy to lose, but being present and being known there's no substitute for it. Y'all, I'm telling you, talk to people. And sometimes, you know what, at the end of the day, if it's just a conversation about, man, it's kind of rainy out, but that's okay. You've made a connection. Walking the walk is also key. Our field folks, your field folks, will see through you faster than you can imagine if you're not walking the walk. If you come in thinking you know everything and you're just gonna blow them away with the amount of knowledge that you have, they're gonna see through you like that and they're gonna shut down. The why-friendly culture, I kind of touched on that. Ted Lasso, a lot of folks have watched Ted Lasso and the whole be curious speech that he gives. That really is a key. Be curious about what we're doing. When I was a deputy commissioner, I had this, reputation, but I'd say, what are we doing here? And it wasn't like, what are we doing here? But teach me, what are we doing? You know, how are we doing this? Why are we doing it? How might we and how can we be better? These also are really, really, really key, right? So how might we get this done, and how might we be better? Or how can we do things differently are really key. Those aspects, because what you're doing now is not only are you checking your ego at the door, you're engaging folks to use their knowledge and have them teach you. People want to be heard, and again, this is the pride thing, right? You talk to a chip seal crew, they'll say, we got 6.8 miles today. And as soon as the other chip seal crew hears that, it's on. We got 7.2 today, right? There's pride and there's bragging rights. But at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're wanting to be better, and they're wanting to be better for the agency. Failure is okay. This is a big hurdle, okay? We all hear budget constraints. We all hear time constraints. We all hear we've already done this before, right? Guys, we can make anything out of signpost. I promise you. We have made some pretty awesome tools out of signpost. It's unbelievable. I truly believe in my heart of hearts in the Indiana Department of Transportation, 99.9% of the people are out there and they're trying to do the best job that they can. They're not trying to tear stuff up. They're not trying to break stuff. They're not trying to be unsafe. They're trying to get the job done. And if we embrace that and say, you know what, you tried and it didn't work out, that's okay, let's figure it out. How might we get there? Now, if it's a safety thing, that's different. That's a whole nother realm. And we've had ideas that have come into the idea portal where I literally have watched the video and made a call and say, whoa, we can't use that. That's not safe. Let's figure out how we can make it safe. And one of our leading implemented tools for cable rail repair, one of our top ROI, if you will, tools, came out of that phone call. You can't do that anymore because it's unsafe, but how might we get it there, okay? Executive level buy-in. I am extraordinarily lucky. I am luckier than I deserve with the buy-in that I have from our commissioner and our executive level. The answer, they stand on yes. When it comes to innovation and research, they stand on yes. The caveat is, how are we going to implement it, right? That's where, if an idea or a research project is not implemented, it's wasted. It is wasted time, energy, and resources. What is the implementation that we're going to get, and how are we going to do that? That's where it really is key for us. Embrace it at all levels. I talked about walking the walk. This is not a flavor of the day. We're 5 years in, and I promise you, the guy who walked into my office and said, you better figure out what you're going to do next, I remind him that we're still going, because that's pretty cool. I recognize that innovation and research is uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, we're asking people to change how they're doing things on a daily basis, right? If it's a pavement operation, or a new paving, a new asphalt treatment, or a new asphalt type, if it's a new kind of bridge piering, or whatever the case may be, we're asking people to get outside of their comfort zone of what they have done for potentially decades and make that change, okay? It's uncomfortable. It is, but that's okay. Change is good. The last bullet point I should probably have made bigger. In 5+ years, we have had 0 HR issues. We have not laid anybody off. We have not suspended anybody without pay. We have not fired anybody. We have not. The other thing that we have not gotten in our portal is pay me more, I'll do more. You give me a central office vehicle that's a Mercedes, and I'll do more. We don't get those ideas. We get, have we thought about this safety aspect? Have we thought about looking at this treatment for pavement, or to prolong a bridge deck? We get ideas to do better. We don't get, it's not a complaint box, for lack of a better term. Right now, I am pushing, and this is a very lofty goal for us, we are closing in on 1,000 ideas that have gone into our portal since we started. That's including the COVID year. COVID was a down year for us, but we saw a dip. But we did not see a dip nearly like what some of our sister states saw during COVID, where innovation sort of stopped. We started seeing innovations to make our workforce more efficient, research projects to take into effect social distancing, to do public engagement. How do we do public engagement if we can't have a large group together, but we got to stay on project to build this road or to build this bridge? So push to 1,000. So when we all came back from COVID and we had just redone our mission, vision, and values, I was like, oh, cool, I get off the elevator for one of the first times, and we had redone all of our workspaces. We went to cubicles and so forth, and this hit me in the face. This word art is on the wall, and innovation is at the very top, and it's arguably one of the largest fonts in the entire word puzzle, I guess, for lack of a better term, versus NDOT. And I was like, oh, well, I guess we're taking it pretty seriously now. So, but it was a real aha moment. But it shows you how the buy-in from our executive level, because that was pretty cool. It was refreshing. It was invigorating. But it was also motivating to know that they were behind me and behind our group. And so I just leave you with the fact that there's really a three-legged stool that we live in, and that's pride, trust, and impact. And that pride is something that permeates every one of the members of the workforce that we have. It doesn't matter what they're doing. The impact of what we do is not lost on anybody, and it shouldn't be lost on anybody in this room. Whether you're waiting at the school bus stop for your kids, whether you're going to go get groceries, going to a baseball game, soccer game, hockey game, whatever, your loved ones, they are traveling roads that you all directly impact, and our workers directly impact. That is not something to take for granted. And if we can do something that's better, faster, more efficient, and safer for our workers, that then results in better, safer, and more efficient roadways, we're all going to be better. So I drank the Kool-Aid, admittedly. I will tell you that I've worn several hats in my career. This is the best job I've ever had, because I get to deliver good news on a pretty regular basis. But it also shows me, and I have learned more about different departments within each group that we have within NDOT, because it's forced me to talk and forced me to learn, forced me to check my ego at the door, forced me to ask those questions of how might we get this done? How are you doing? What do you need? Those kinds of questions. It's imperative, and I would implore you all to do that, because it sharpens your saw and it will reinvigorate you. And get out of your office. Go visit, we call them units and subunits and districts, right? So district, unit, subunit. Some people call them maintenance sheds, some people call them whatever. Get out and go. Talk to the folks. They're not going to talk to you the first time you're there. It just is. Just the way it is, right? But if you're present and you talk to them, it will sharpen your saw, and it will make you more proud of what you do than any research project you push out, or any tool that gets implemented, I promise you. So I appreciate your attention. Again, thank you to Vermont and everybody who's allowed me to come out here and kind of preach the gospel of innovation, and it's a fun job. I don't think it's a job. It's really kind of it's a real love affair in a lot of respects, because I see the difference that it makes. So thank you all very much. Here's my contact info, and I'm happy to chat afterwards or whatever. And if you have any questions, I think Amanda, you're up. So there we go.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Gilman-Bogey, for those of you who I may not have met yet or connected with. And I'm here today representing the continuous improvement section. I manage that group. I'm very proud of the work we do. We're part of the Bureau of Innovation, Learning, and Development here at the Agency of Transportation. And I want to talk to you a little bit in follow-up to what Todd shared about what AOT is currently doing to focus on innovation within our agency. Continuous improvement is a cornerstone of innovation. We seek incremental enhancements across all levels of the organization, which is why it's a natural fit for my group in particular. Innovation comes into play when we talk about improving efficiency, doing more with less, of course, while maintaining quality and safety. So those are things that really impact all of the work that my group does. In addition to leading our continuous improvement section, I am a part of our State Transportation Innovation Council, known as STIC, and I am a proud member of AASHTO's Innovation Community of Practice with Todd. That was how he and I originally met. So really excited to have an opportunity to talk to you about innovation. So I want to start by sharing our core values. Quick show of hands for any folks who are familiar with our core values. They are, okay, I see a few hands, that's great. At the end of this presentation, all the hands can go up, so that'll be a win for today. We recently put out our core values. This is an initiative that came from a strategic workforce committee, the Committee on Employee Engagement and Retention. And so if you are not familiar with them, we'd love to talk to you more about them. The one that I want to talk to you about today is innovation. So in addition to safety, professional development, customer service, equity, diversity, and inclusion, innovation is a core value for us. And innovation means driving change that adds value, and this can be new ideas, processes, technologies. It's not necessarily about being radical all the time. It's about seeking new ways to do things, bringing new things to our agency. We believe that continuous process improvement is really important for innovation, and this includes regularly assessing how we work, finding opportunities to eliminate inefficiencies, streamlining workflows. We really just want to operate at our best, and that's something that my team is really passionate about, and that's the core of the work that we do. In terms of leveraging data utilization, this is all about making data-driven decisions. We use data to help identify patterns and assess performance, anticipate trends. It helps us make informed decisions and innovate in meaningful ways. Collaboration is a fundamental element of innovation. We come together, we bring diverse perspectives and skills and experiences. We spark new ideas that wouldn't have surfaced in isolation. So we encourage across our agency to have collaboration, combine our expertise, break down silos, and drive innovative solutions. Continuous improvement is really a mindset. It's part of our culture, and that's something that we want to foster. Continuous improvement and innovation as a core part of our culture. Innovation is really everyone's responsibility, and that's part of why you see it highlighted at such a high level in our core values. Every employee plays a role by contributing to our culture of innovation. We want to empower individuals at all levels across AOT to share ideas, explore new ways of doing things, and take ownership of improvement efforts. And innovation is ongoing. It is not a destination. We continue to learn and adapt and seek out new ways to enhance our work. And that's why you see it highlighted so prominently in our core values. I think that we all know intrinsically what innovation is, and I also think it's really important to pause and make sure that we have a shared definition that looks at innovation at a more macro level. Because, of course, innovation includes things like science, research, and expertise. Many of you brought that today. This is what we see in our poster sessions and in these amazingly impressive projects. Innovation at AOT is grounded in a strong foundation of knowledge, science, research, collective expertise, and we look at emerging trends, we leverage data, we conduct research, and we make data-driven decisions. And that's a really important part of innovation. It's also not the entirety of it. It's a bigger picture, a bigger conversation. Innovation is also about the voice of our customers. So it's not just about new technology or bright ideas, it's also about listening to the people that we serve. The voice of the customer makes sure that we're responsive to our public's needs and preferences, that we talk about trends for how people travel. This can include things like surveys and focus groups, community engagement. You know, an example might be when we're gathering insights about public preferences for walkability and bike paths and sustainable transportation. Those are all ways that we can include innovation and make sure that we're listening to people. Innovation also includes new and novel solutions. Invention is pretty much at the core of innovation, so that's, you know, those bright new ideas and novel solutions that might not be obvious at first, but they help solve long-standing problems in unique ways. We see this within AOT. You know, it could be new methods of snow removal or creative ways of managing traffic during peak travel seasons. We also talk about technology as part of innovation. Technology is a key enabler of innovation here at AOT. You know, it could be sensors in the field, data from apps, autonomous vehicles. Technology really transforms how we work and interact with our environment. And then we sometimes see things that are radical, those radical changes. You know, we talk a lot about autonomous vehicles. That's an example of technology that could significantly alter transportation systems. We have to be prepared to adapt to these shifts to ensure safety, infrastructure readiness, and public trust. We also talk about continuous improvement as part of innovation, because while we think of innovation often as being those big breakthroughs, we're also really passionate about those smaller grassroots conversations that are happening across our agency. Small incremental changes are truly just as vital. And at AOT, we're always looking for ways that we can do what we already do a little bit better, whether it's refining our processes, upgrading technology, or improving our service delivery. And so I just want you to keep those things in mind when you think about what innovation is within the work that we do. I also want to point out that innovation has become somewhat of a buzzword, and it's embedded within larger conversations that we're having. You know, you hear terms like efficiency, modernization, continuous improvement, and by recognizing these elements, we can see that innovation is not a separate function. It's a fundamental part of our strategy and vision within Vermont state government. We're not just striving for innovation as a buzzword, we're living it through everyday action. This is problem solving, updating our systems, and pushing for greater efficiencies. I encourage everyone to think about your daily work and projects and really think about the innovation principles and how they can be further embedded into our ongoing strategic efforts. So when you hear people talk about doing more with less, maintaining and enhancing quality, strategic planning, goal setting, reducing waste, those are all ways that innovation comes into the work that we do. Innovation and modernization in particular go hand in hand, focusing on updating systems and tools and infrastructure. And innovation, again, isn't just about the grand ideas. It's about making necessary updates, shifting focus, and fixing issues that we may have. I'd like to share a little bit about the things that we're doing to foster innovation within AOT. We have a new strategic workforce committee that is focused on innovation as its sole purpose, launching next month. It's a dedicated space for employees to collaborate, share ideas, and drive innovation. It aligns our workforce efforts with organizational goals, and it ensures that innovation is an important part of our culture, the culture that we're still building and looking to sustain. Employees can contribute by providing input to the committee, which we hope will prove to be instrumental in shaping our future innovation strategies. We also have an annual employee engagement survey. Hopefully you all took it a few months back. This survey data should be published soon. It's a statewide survey. And there are some innovation-specific questions that come from that survey. This is an opportunity to gather employee insights on our workplace environment and satisfaction, as well as areas for improvement. And past surveys have given us valuable feedback on things like technology and workflows and how employees feel about sharing their ideas. It informs our strategic decisions and our initiatives, so it's a key tool for cultivating a culture of innovation. So participation in this survey helps to shape AOT's future direction and encourages our employees to provide candid feedback that we can use to make a real difference. So this is one way that we are hoping to be able to continue to connect with and communicate with our workforce. We're also doing focus groups. This is something that my continuous improvement section is leading at this time. This gives us an opportunity to dive deeper and have those really intimate, interactive small group discussions with employees across the agency. It provides some qualitative data to complement survey results, giving more context to numbers and identifying barriers and opportunities for innovation. Employees have expressed their preferences for how they want to engage with things like technology and innovation in the workplace, which can help us to guide future initiatives. We are willing to bring focus groups to different teams across the agency. So if anyone sitting here today thinks, hey, that sounds like a pretty cool idea, I would love to participate in one of these focus groups, or I would love for you to come out and have some conversations with my team, please let me know, and let's have a conversation today, because I would love to make that happen. We want to hear from you. We want to meet people across the agency. Todd talked really passionately about how important those relationships are and how much it means to really know people and be able to build that trust. And that's something that my group feels really passionately about and something that we want to foster across our agency. We feel that employee voices are critical for building and sustaining a culture of innovation. So the ideas, the feedback, and the engagement are truly the foundations of our work. So this is an open invitation for team meetings, individual discussions. We want to talk to you about how innovation can be nurtured in your specific work environment and projects. We truly believe that by working together, we can transform some innovative ideas into actionable strategies that benefit not only our organization, but the people that we serve. I also want to call out the fact that this is a continuous process. So Todd talked about how we have to be comfortable with taking some risks and not be afraid of sometimes failing, because we're going to learn lessons from it, we're going to adjust prospectively, and we're going to do better. And my team has had this very experience. So in 2022, we launched a SharePoint-based innovation idea submission portal. We wanted to create a space where employees could easily share their ideas for improving processes, workflows, and our overall operations. We really thought that it was an opportunity to encourage creative thinking and drive innovation from within the organization. So we launched it, we were super excited about it, and we kind of got some of those crickets that Todd was talking about. We have gotten some feedback and learned from this and been able to think about how we can do this better. So some things that we have recognized from conversations and relationship building that we're doing across our agency. The portal may have asked for too much information up front. It could have been overwhelming for employees, especially for those who were maybe looking for something that was quick and straightforward in terms of communication. Some of the language felt a little formal for folks. They didn't necessarily feel like they related to it. It didn't resonate with them. And we want to be supportive of a diverse workforce, particularly our field staff, who are used to more hands-on practical approaches. There was also some technology gaps. The SharePoint platform wasn't necessarily user-friendly for all employees using all devices, particularly those in the field, who may not rely on computers for all of their daily tasks. So what we learned was that our employees do want to share ideas, but the process needs to be simple and easy to navigate. It's really important that we have clear, concise questions and prompts. One-size-fits-all approach is probably not going to work the best. And technology accessibility is going to be something really important. Not everyone works from a desk, and people have varying comfortability with mobile-friendly tech tools. So our commitment, when we talk about failing forward and not being afraid of failure, rather than giving up, and as Todd had said in his presentation where someone says, hey, we tried this before, it didn't work, we're not giving up. We're going to take these lessons, adjust our approach, create a more user-friendly and accessible way to gather that employee input that we're looking for. So we're looking at ways that we could modify our platform, maybe create a new platform. We want to cater to the specific needs of our workforce. And we're shifting towards more direct, casual conversations about innovation. So we want to have town halls and focus groups and have more informal channels so that our employees can feel comfortable sharing their thoughts. And we view this failure as a step forward in understanding how we can better engage our staff in the innovation process. Every lesson learned moves us closer to creating a truly inclusive culture of innovation. I also want to just recognize how important our partnerships are, and the lessons and learned and best practices that we are able to bring from other state DOTs and our federal partners, some of whom are lucky enough to be with us today, or we're lucky enough, rather, to have them with us today. Innovation is an ongoing process that requires flexibility and the ability to adapt to emerging trends. And DOTs that are nimble and can quickly pivot in response to new technologies, regulations, and shifts are going to be the most successful. So we want our culture to reflect not just what we know and the lessons that we've learned, but also the best practices that we have gotten from our strategic partners. And so we have had a lot of really great conversations with other state DOTs, and that's helped us to do our work better and bring more information back to AOT. So an example would be conversations we've had with Minnesota about their innovation sandbox, which allows employees to propose and test new technologies or processes in a controlled environment. We also have been learning a lot about what does an innovative culture look like, and how do people feel empowered and supported, and what are other agencies and departments doing to foster that. That culture of innovation that Todd had talked about, and establishing innovation challenges and different ways to communicate and build those relationships are going to be critical, and we have so much that we can bring from our partners. We also know that leadership support is really important, and so we're having those conversations with our leaders. We know that successful innovation starts at the top, and we're lucky to have leadership that actively supports innovation and can help us set a tone for the organization. And we want to make sure that we are having regular, in-depth conversations across AOT with our leaders so that we can build this culture. I want to really quickly talk about some of the innovation programming work at a specific level. So we're actually rolling out some new innovation programming across AOT. This is going to allow us to bring some of these best practices and new ideas that we have gotten from our partners, as well as ones that we have developed from our own lessons learned, our own research, and our own expertise. And we're using a foundation of mindset, skill set, and tool set, because we really feel that this is how you build a culture of innovation. And so what we mean when we're talking about that is we want to build a belief system and attitude about innovation and problem solving to help create that culture where it's expected and embraced. We want employees to feel empowered and think outside of the box, challenge the status quo. So we're going to be developing different types of training that help with that mindset shift and focus on that in the conversations that we're having. We're also working on developing ways to support skill set development. And this is about the specific abilities and competencies that employees need to innovate effectively. So this is like creative problem solving, critical thinking, project management, and collaborative teamwork. Even with the right mindset, we know that employees need concrete skills to identify problems, generate solutions, and then bring those solutions to life. So we can do things like offer targeted training, maybe in design thinking or systems thinking. We can work with our partners within the Office of the Chief Performance Office for some of these as well. We want to ensure that any training we do is hands-on and interactive and designed to solve real problems within transportation. And we want to make sure that there is continuous learning with different formats. Some of it may be online, some of it may be in person, and it could be in different time segments as well. Maybe it's a quick workshop, maybe it's a full day. And then we talk about developing our tool sets. So this is really about physical and digital tools and processes. It could be specific pieces of software. It could also be specific models that we would use. It's not only about the right attitude and skills, but also the appropriate tools and resources to make it possible for us to test, iterate, and scale new ideas. And so we're really hoping that this is going to allow us to create a holistic approach and have innovation training that is effective and programming that integrates mindset, skill set, and tool set into a more cohesive learning experience around innovation. So we're really excited that we're going to be piloting some of this with you in the coming months. We're going to be starting with managers and supervisors. You'll see things published and coming out to AOT employees talking about our innovation curriculum. Also talking about things like Genius Hours, which are bite-sized professional development opportunities, and Learning Labs, which are practical hands-on problem-solving opportunities with collaboration and skill building. So we have a lot of really exciting things in the works that we are looking forward to sharing with you all. And finally, when we wrap out just kind of this overview of what AOT is doing to foster innovation, we want to make sure that we're stressing how important the voice of our employees and our partners are. The QR code that's up here, and that I will gladly share with you in other formats as well, is for a survey. And my folks have actually been walking around the room today with some iPads, potentially very gently encouraging you to complete a survey on the iPad in real time. And this is about giving us feedback. And this survey is different than the one that Emily and Ashley are doing that is asking for feedback on the symposium as a whole. This is about how you view innovation within the Agency of Transportation. It's an opportunity for you to weigh in and say, this is how I see innovation. Are we being innovative? This is why I would either suggest an idea or maybe not. This is what I see as a barrier. This is what I see as a win. It's your voice. It's your opportunity to share with us because, again, we want to be responsive to our employees. We want to build programming and have structures in place that support innovative mindsets and the development of skills and tools across our agency. So please do consider taking that survey. And again, you don't necessarily have to use the QR code. It's just for your convenience. I'll certainly send it out. But we want to hear from you. Innovation is critically important to the Agency of Transportation. It's how we're going to be most successful in reaching our goals. And we're excited to be able to help and support this work. Thank you.
So I'm really excited. So I'm going to tell you about how I filled out the survey when I get to talk. But right now, if you have questions for either Todd or Amanda, this is our chance. We have like 15 minutes or so to answer questions, ask about innovation here in Vermont, some of the ideas from Todd and like whether we can adapt those here in Vermont, the relationship with research, maybe we have questions, but yeah, I'm hoping that we do have some questions, and I know there's people online. They will not be able to ask questions, I don't think, but yeah, so this is your chance, guys, to have our two people. Oh, so good, thank you. Come up to the mic and ask away.
Hello, everybody. So I promise I'm not a plant, and this is not a pre-planned question. I am a continuous improvement program manager in Amanda's group. And I have a question for you, Todd. One, thank you so much for being here. Really informative. You're always a bright voice at the AASHTO ICOP. Love hearing about what's going on in your state. I'm curious about the part on your slide where you said that failure is okay 90% of the time. And specifically, how do folks in leadership in your agency feel about that statement when some of their quote-unquote failures may end up in a newspaper or with legislative scrutiny? How does INDOT work with that?
Sure. So, good question. Well, knock on wood, we haven't had anything in the paper yet. So, and I guess I should be more specific as far as like when we get an idea. Let me see. Yeah. Anyway, some of the ideas that we come in, if you go to the one, there you go, go down one. So as an example, this was one of the innovation ideas that we got in one of our first years, literally drawn on the back of a napkin. This is an arm to support the air compressor hose for our crews that go out. And so the first time they built it, it didn't work. Okay, the second time they built it, it didn't work. The reason being is they were just doing their best, and so that's what I mean by failure. I'm not talking about like catastrophic failure. We build a bridge and it falls into the river. That's not. this is ideas of scale, right? And so what we're trying to do is allow people to bounce around in and try things. And we've done it as an innovation group. One of our winning ideas was for our snow operations, a plow cart. We built it so robust, it probably could lift this building. And then we're on a call with Arizona DOT, and they have these little two-wheel dollies that do exactly the same thing for about 1/1000th of the cost. So that's what I mean. I mean, I don't know, does that answer your question? It's kind of failure on a scale, if you will. So that's where we come in, so.
Thank you. Do you ever use the phrase or hear the phrase like fail early and often to get to that failure of scale, or is that different?
No, we don't use it a lot. I mean, honestly, ours is kind of like just if you have an idea, we're here to help you. So I have innovation coordinators that work for me. They are in the districts and in the subs and that sort of thing. So if they see an idea and somebody is just stuck, as an example, we have relationships with metal fabrication shops, welding shops, obviously Purdue University, the engineering program there and the research program there, our research group as well. But also there's a small university in the northern part of the state called Trine University that has actually an innovation major, which is kind of cool. So we have worked with them a lot and their students really from soup to nuts, and to give them an idea like this where they will then do CAD drawings, they'll do engineering, they'll do all of that stuff. So we're really here to, if it works, great, but let's figure out how we can get to the end result. So
Excellent.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Mm-hmm. That's it? Okay, all right, I was gonna say.
I've got a question. Great presentations, both of you. For Todd, talking about the $500 spot bonuses, wondering if you could talk a little bit about, just share some examples of what resulted in some of those spot bonuses.
Sure.
And then also, do you have a limit on how many or how often those are going out?
Okay, that was a plant question. It had to have been. So our spot bonuses are $500 per person per team. Okay, so if we have 2 people on a team, if we have 20 people that are working together, collaborative to come together for an idea, and that idea is a winning idea for the year, they each get $500. This is an example of a team that came up with that's the final result of what that looks like. But that was one of our subunits in Linton. There were 8 people on the team that worked with it and designed with it. As an example, we are doing a process now where we're doing snow and ice training that every one of our districts will get. We are partnering with our LTAP group so that if we have a massive blizzard and one of our districts can't keep up with the snow, I know you guys know a little bit about snow, but everybody, not only within NDOT and every district within NDOT, but our LTAP partners also. So those folks across 6 districts, and I think there were 11 folks in on developing this standardized training that do it. One piece also I will point out is we had a gentleman in our first year who developed it's called a push paver. They have a lot of Amish up in the northern part of the state, so the buggies will wear ruts in the road. It's expensive to rent a full-size asphalt paving machine and rollers and that sort of thing. So he came up with an innovation for it's called a push paver. It goes on the front of a skid steer. It's adjustable, so forth and so on. When I told him he won, congratulations, $500, he said, "Oh, awesome. Can I buy a welder for the shop?" And I immediately thinking for his shop, right, like at home. And I said, you can do with it. It's your money. And he said, "No, I mean for the unit." So what that triggered was I went to the commissioner and I said, "I got an idea. What if we did a spot bonus for each individual, but for where people report and the reporting we give them what we call a tool allowance or a shop allowance or a department allowance, and there's really not a lot. I mean, there's obviously constraints on it, and I jokingly say, I don't care if you buy, 1,000 highlighters with it, but this is for you guys to buy something. We've had gigantic printers bought. We've had software purchased. We've had a welder purchased. We've had all kinds of stuff. So at the end of the day, that's what that $500 is. And so to be clear, when we get ideas, we collect ideas from January 1 to December 31st. We have innovation councils in each district. Those districts, as well as the central office, they vet those ideas and winnow those ideas down to the best of the best. And then we have what is arguably one of the longest meetings where we score those winning ideas, and we take the top X number of ideas to move forward to statewide implementation. I do not vote. The innovation coordinators do not vote. This is truly a jury of their peers. I then go to our exec team and the commissioner. I've only had one idea that was not a no, it was a not yet. Because it was with unmanned aerial vehicles. There's a lot of blue list, blacklist things happening with that because of the software and storage, et cetera. It was not a no, it was a not yet. So that's how we get to the winning ideas, and then we push those to implementation. So it's really, truly a jury of their peers. So.
Great presentation, both of you, really informative. I had two questions, you just answered one, so
Okay.
that's good. I was wondering how the winners were vetted. My question is around your visits to the districts. So you talked about, at the beginning, very limited trust, now there's a welcoming environment. What about the middle? Like, what was your strategy with those districts to build trust? What kind of conversations did you have? Did you enter into them slowly? Like, what was your whole strategy around that communication?
So it's still a learning process, right? Because it is. To that middle road is a little tough, because what I have learned, and I guess a little peek behind my curtain, is I was in sales for decades, and so everybody's like, "Oh, you're a salesperson, you talk to anybody." I'm a very extroverted introvert, so it's hard sometimes. I gotta, I'll go refresh my batteries later, but to communicate how folks want to be, and to recognize and give the recognition the way they want to be recognized is really important, right? So if you're a winner of an innovation award, and we typically give big golf checks at functions, and we make road signs for their cubicles or garage or wherever, I don't care, wherever they want. There's a big sign that goes out in front of the district building, but typically we have them up in front of the group. If you don't want that, cool, you're not up there. We want to have you recognized the way you want to be recognized, and the same way with communication, right? It's tough, and sometimes it's you sort of have to read the room, and kind of, for lack of a better term, sort of get permission to have those conversations. Sometimes it's just kind of hanging out, and that's also, it can be, well, what are they doing here? Well, if you're there long enough, it just happens. It just happens. So, first 4 or 5, it could be about their kids, their pets, their gardens, their whatever, at the furthest thing from NDOT business or whatever. Perfect example is we had an innovation to install cameras in our paint operations, in our paint trucks, because our paint crews were leaning out watching the jets. Well, that's great for a short period of time, but that gets tiresome. Tough nut to crack, because that group is very tight knit. The idea came from outside of that group, so it was kind of like, why are they telling us how to do our job? It took a while, and finally, just through, we talked about everything other than paint for a while, and it's just patience, and you learn a lot about people. It's kind of cool, so.
Hi, Todd. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Amanda, excellent. We love to hear this, so we'll keep moving forward on this. I'm curious, we've seen a lot of physical projects. Could you talk a little bit about how your innovation program has helped out with the war on bureaucracy?
On the war on what, I'm sorry?
Bureaucracy. We also have a group, I'm with the group, where we all do the same thing, but we are trying to improve our business processes.
Sure.
And things like that. And I was wondering if you had anything that you could tell us about those.
We do. So, and I guess along those lines, I'll give you a couple of examples. Tools are easy. Tailgate prop, it either holds the tailgate up or it doesn't, right? Pretty easy. Processes are tough. Inherently, processes will have 4 meetings with 12 people in it. On the 5th meeting, a 13th and 14th person comes in and says, have you talked to person 20 and 22? And you're back to square one, right? So it's tough. It's tough. Processes are very tough. Find the neck to choke, so to speak. Okay, and what I mean by that is, and have those conversations, right? So as an example, we used to do, when we would do our planning for major projects and that sort of thing coming up to the next year, we would literally pile into a 15-person van, drive around, people would make notes. Here I am, the deputy commissioner, thinking, I'm stuck in a van, you know, what are we doing here? This is a colossal waste of time. We had somebody who automated that, and immediately it was like, nope, we can't do that. Nope, we can't do that because we have to lay eyes on it, so forth and so on. And you have to figure out the why. And discovering that why, and sometimes that why is as simple as they don't know or they've never done it. But that's tough. It's really tough. And so and that's where we've gotten some of our best buy-in. We still have it. I ain't no expert in getting that done. It's tough. It's really, really tough. But finding that core person and going and really having a kind of a thoughtful conversation and saying, hey, look, help me understand what's the roadblock here? How might we get it done? And sometimes it's just they just don't know. And sometimes they are the 16th or 17th or 18th person that hasn't been included in the first 12 meetings. And once they're included and once they're in the process, I'm going to share this along those lines. So this, oops, I don't know how the heck to go back. What have I done, Ray? Anyway. I'm in there. Look at me go. So this person, this gentleman, has been with NDOT for 35 years. And he put an idea in, and it was immediately met with no. And the no was because nobody didn't understand what he was saying. This man has built bridges over the Ohio River, over the Wabash River, and multiple other waterways. And I don't know, has anybody ever been out on a bridge job where with pile drivers going ching, ching? I don't know how y'all do it, but we used to pay somebody for the most miserable job ever to sit there with a counter. Dink, 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 dink. It's horrible. Covered with, and the perception from the traveling public is, what's this guy doing sitting on the skids? He's not doing anything, right? So this is a wireless pull count device. Y'all may use it. We didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And it was met from a couple of people in our hydraulic group with, we're not going to do that. To your point, I went to them and said, hey, look, teach me, this is something that I'm hearing is really a game changer for us. Well, no, it's just no. We got what we need. So what this device does is this utilizes ultrasound, and it tells us what the substrate is, how far the piling is going in, gives us XYZ coordinates in case, God forbid, something happens and it's hit, and the bridge piling moves. We know immediately. It's a game changer. We get somebody off of the track, it's safer, and the reams and reams and reams of information it gives us versus the spiral-bound notebooks that we thought were pretty accurate, where somebody, oh, well, was that 212 or was that 116? I kind of lost track, fell asleep, had to, whatever. Anyway, this gentleman's been with us for decades. When I told him he won, I went with I took the person who said no. And I said, let's go. I want you to see the response here. He gets tears in his eyes, and he said, you don't understand. This changes how we do things. This has made my career at NDOT. He's built bridges over the rivers of our state. So it's involvement and it's understanding, and really, the answer is no if you don't ask the question, right? So it's like, hey, go with me, as opposed to just assuming that they don't. Well, Tuesday's not good. What's good for you? Let's figure it out. And I'll get on it like a dog on a bone, man. Because it's important. It's important. And now those folks are working together. We have a winner this year that he actually has put in that monitors curing in concrete piers, and totally has changed the way we're going to do how we pour concrete piers in bridges. It's changing how we do things totally. And but bureaucracy, it's tough. It's frustrating. I'm not saying I don't skip to the car every night. I mean, there's some times where I have to sit and have a little moment. So, but good question. Good question. I don't have the answer, unfortunately. We done?
I have two questions.
Okay.
So I have two questions, but I think I'll stick with one. First, in our webinar last week on innovation culture, somebody said that FAIL is like the first step in learning. So I don't know what the A stood for, but that was pretty exciting. And then, so I can totally picture that a person showing up at the 5th meeting and saying, why don't you talk to, these 20 and 21 people? I think this has happened to all of us. It's really important in terms of, implementing our projects and our innovations. So how do we make sure that we get, the right people in the room for those meetings 1 through 4? Like, I wonder if either of you have a response to that one. It's not an easy one. No.
I don't have an answer to that, because we're all big, right? And trying to figure out how the best way to stay above the line and answer this question. We all have people who want to be involved that have no reason to be involved, right? But if they're not involved, they're... So, at the end of the day, I think the simple question at the end of the first couple of meetings is, who are we forgetting, right? And being really transparent with what we're doing. We try to really talk about what innovation and research is doing, and be very transparent with if you need help, or we need help, or do you know somebody who can help us? Those are some of the things that we try to do, but it's tough. I mean, we got 4,000 people, right? And at the end of the day, we've got a lot of folks that are in a lot of different places. We've had situations where ideas have won, and we've gotten to step 3, and I've talked to our research group, and they're like, we just got SPR funds to do that. Well, awesome, let's go, right? And so it's that collaborative effort. But I don't, other than just saying who might we include, who should we include, it's a tough nut to crack. So
I can share the challenge with that. From a continuous improvement perspective, certainly we run into the same exact challenges at times. I will say that the conversations that we're having are incredibly important. That stakeholder analysis on the front end to try to figure out who needs to be a part of the conversation is really critical. we have found that sometimes the biggest pain points are because people aren't talking. And so sometimes you get folks in the room and you start going through, you know, kind of what the high level business process is and who does what when, not getting down to that task level quite yet. And you start realizing that maybe there's this other group that owns a piece of the work downstream. And they never collaborate with the folks in the room. You know, they just do like some sort of cold handoff at some point, but they don't talk about how their work impacts each other. And so just being able to be the voice in the room that says, hey, I think that conversation is really important. We should have that, and we should be talking to each other more. It adds such value. So there's no perfect solution, but I certainly do think that, you know, just sort of owning the frustration and plugging forward is highly valuable.
So I do think all that is great. I'm going to save my last question, but many, many, many thanks for both of you again. Thank you. So I think this has been awesome. So yeah, so if you guys are getting tired of standing, go ahead and sit down. Yeah, so we're really lucky to have, and hopefully I can get to, oh, now I gotta keep going here. Okay, so our TRB, the Transportation Research Board, is an organization in DC. Catherine's going to tell us about it. She's our visitor for this year, and it's super exciting for me that she can come on this day, learn about, you know, these 24 research projects and innovations, sort of get a flavor for the projects, the people, what's going on in Vermont. So many, many thanks that Catherine is here. But if you have questions about TRB, this is your chance. We're going to have a session at 1:45 that you can attend. So Catherine's going to, you know, say a couple words and get you to go talk to her further.
Well, good morning. I am here to mostly whet your appetite about TRB. I'm Catherine Cordham. I am very happy to be here in Vermont. My most recent visit to a state was in New Jersey, and I've got to say the charm level of this part of Vermont is a little higher than Trenton, New Jersey, so this is lovely. Trenton also doesn't have North America's largest zipper, so I'm glad that I have hit all of the local, or at least one of the major local hotspots. The Transportation Research Board is based in Washington, D.C. We are part of the National Academy of Sciences, which is a large nonprofit that advises the government. We are a nonprofit, which means that every time the government shuts down or threatens to shut down or whatever shenanigans are happening down the street on Capitol Hill, we still go to work. We are just advising the government. We are not necessarily part of it. This picture shows a few of the people who are involved in TRB, but is a very small, very tiny percentage of the total number of people who are involved. My goal here in the next couple of minutes is just to give you a flavor of the three major parts of the Transportation Research Board so that you have a sense of what the organization does, and then any further discussions can happen later today for those of you who are sticking around for it. Essentially, there are three legs to the Transportation Research Board. We have an executive director, as just about everywhere does. Our most recent our current executive director is Victoria Sheehan, who was, prior to taking her role at the head of TRB about 2 years ago, the executive director of New Hampshire DOT. So she knows and thinks very highly of these small New England states, and a lot of her perspective as a state DOT director has bled into the work that we are doing at TRB. The state DOTs, all 51 of them, because we count the district, they also provide us with funding and support. The states are involved in all three arms of the Transportation Research Board to different degrees. I also often say, and I will try not to slip into this too much, that the transportation industry is second only to the military in its use of acronyms, and we're second only to the agricultural industry, farmers, in our use of the term silos. So I'm going to try to avoid referencing both of those in the next few minutes, but I may slip, and we'll find out. So the first of the three divisions of the Transportation Research Board has had various names over the years, but it currently is called the Consensus and Advisory Studies. And essentially, this is the group that gets to advise Congress, which is fun. Sometimes, actually, we feel influential, and sometimes we know darn well that our reports have gone onto a shelf. That's particularly true when one administration, Congress under one administration, requests us to do a particular study with recommendations, and then the next administration is the one that receives it. And clearly there has been some very different opinions or very different attitudes amongst different administrations in the last several years. But this is a group that provides recommendations on transportation policy questions, any sort of sticky transportation policy issue that doesn't have a clear answer. There's all kinds of different topics here. I have done a lot of work on automated vehicles. There's certainly a lot of policy questions there without clear answers, but we will do work on the best ways to handle duck boats to make them safer, or the best ways to handle moving petroleum or other diluted bitumen by rail. A lot of topics that are very niche and very interesting to a very small subset of people. We have another leg, another of the three arms of the Transportation Research Board, legs, arms, apparently I'm all into limbs right now, is the cooperative research programs. So we call these the CRPs, there's one of your acronyms. There are 4 of them right now. The biggest by far is the National Highway Cooperative Research Program, and some of you may be involved in some of this. Each of the state DOTs, all 51 of them, put a portion of their research budgets into a pooled fund, which we at TRB manage, and then we manage the research projects that are chosen by AASHTO and that will, in theory at least, benefit a large variety of the different states. So these might be very, very basic, very applied research, such as what are the best ways to handle reflectivity on the pavements, or what are the best designs for guardrails. There are all kinds of different projects that we do. Probably 6 to 12 are chosen to be done in any given year. The states depend, the exact number of projects that are chosen depend on the total budget available and the total cost of each of those projects. But we put together panels of often many state DOT folks who will oversee the research and help us decide if the contractor who is doing that particular research is actually addressing the need. Because y'all are the folks who are actually using this stuff out in the field, and we want to make sure that the research is as valuable as possible, since y'all are the ones who are providing an awful lot of the money to do said research. We also have CRPs on not only the highways, which are funded by the state DOTs, but ones focused on airports, transit, and behavioral traffic safety. That one's our baby project, and the first study that came out of that one had to do with texting while driving, so ways to eliminate that sort of plague on the world. We also, apparently you can hit all kinds of buttons on here, and who knows what will happen. I currently work for the third leg of the Transportation Research Board, which is the Technical Activities Division. We have 177 standing committees on any topic, it seems, that you can possibly imagine within transportation. If your focus is on concrete, boy, have we got several committees for you. If you are into airports or transit or planning or public health or rail or workforce development, just about anything you can imagine fits somewhere within those 177 committees, and there are 15 of us who manage those 177. We are the group who puts on a party every January, which some of you may have attended. We welcome everybody to attend. That is January 5th through 9th this year, our annual meeting. We are in the midst of party planning right now. So for those of you who are engaged with these standing committees and are helping to put together all of the puzzle pieces that will become part of the program for this annual party, thank you very much. So we have all of these standing committees who put on a big conference in January every year, but then another 10 to 12 conferences over the course of the year. We produce a journal, the Transportation Research Record. We produce a magazine, the TR News. We do sponsor visits. Since y'all are our sponsors, we like to go visit you and find out not only see what research you're doing, but how we can be most helpful to everybody who is out there. And we really would love to have more people be members and friends of these 177 committees. We have thousands of volunteers who are part of these. When you account for the fact that every committee can have up to 36 members, 36 times 177 is a number that I can't do in my head right now, but it's large. And then you can also become a friend of all of these committees. So you can find out, even if you are not a full-fledged member, you can find out what is going on with the workshops and the events and the circulars that they are publishing and whatever else they're doing. There's a lot of paper reviews happening in August. When all of the papers are submitted for potential publication at our annual meeting, then we have a flurry of reviewing that is done. And we would love to have more practitioners helping with a lot of those reviews. A lot of academics submit them, and sometimes they're a little pie in the sky in terms of the topics that come in. But we love having lots of people from lots of different backgrounds able to review these papers and let us know which research really has some value and which is just somebody got a new hammer and is looking for new nails. So that's my overview of TRB. It's a very brief overview, but letting you know that we've got the 3 major divisions. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. I'm at least happy to take any questions. I will answer as many of them as I possibly can, either now if possible or later. I'll be around during lunch, and then there's an Ask TRB session after the fact where I'd be happy to meet with as many of you as will still be here for that. Awesome. The end.
Thank you. So, I'm standing here between lunch and not lunch. So, anyway. So just real quickly, what our agenda is again, this is the whole day. The Ask TRB session is at the end of the day. If you're a poster presenter and you want the glossy paper that we spent a bunch of money on, take your poster at 1:45. You can go ahead, because otherwise we will recycle them. So, but the gist is we're going to have our technical sessions C and D are going to be at 12:15, so that you have enough time to grab food, which I think is ready for us in the back. And talk to the poster presenters. Again, this is your chance sort of for the next 45 minutes. And then 12:15 and 1:15, we're going to do another technical session. We're going to do, half of it here. So the asset management, those 5 projects on the left there. And then also in Alumni Hall Room. How many people have been to the Alumni Hall Room? If you follow the green arrows, and there's also green on the floor, you can go down and up into the Alumni Hall Room. The elevator also takes you there pretty easily. But that will be where our electric vehicles and GHG plus session is going to be over there. So with that, I'm going to go back to, this year, the innovation we brought forward. And if you have the survey that Amanda was talking about, that people are walking around with the iPads, it asks, so what are some innovations you've learned from other states and have incorporated here? So one of them, our innovation for this year was to put this booklet together. So we definitely want to know, do you like the booklet? Have you learned about each project? Do you like the text about, impact to Vermont down here at the bottom? And then, but the innovation from 2 years ago was to do a People's Choice survey. So this might be a way to capture the survey. You can have it on your phone and fill it in. All 24 projects are there under the categories of, which project has the biggest wow factor? Which one, are you most interested in or is connected to your work? What project, has the best demonstration? So some people have brought demonstrating stuff, and then which was the best presentation, 4-minute presentation during the technical session. So if you don't get it up there, it is on the map here in the little corner. So if you hold your phone exactly right, and I did it this morning, so it's possible, you can get the QR code from the little QR code in the corner of your booklet. So, and we will also be sending it out to you. But, the idea of this survey is, we want your answers by Friday, because then we want to, send out emails next week with, these are the winners, these are some of the highlights of what happened, today during the symposium. So, we definitely, but if you have all those comments about this booklet is the biggest waste of money ever, you have a chance to tell us anonymously in this survey. You can also, tell me anything you want less anonymously. So, and then, but next week we're also going to be sending, if you were an attendee, we have some questions. If you were a presenter, we have some questions. So, you'll get some surveys, opportunities. But many, many thanks for Michelle, who mentioned this part, because I think this is important to really, sort of think about which of these posters do I want to put down as the best poster, and best demo, best presentation. So with that, I don't want to get in front of you and launch. Keep talking to all the presenters. I'm super excited. that the people that are here. You can see there's like another 30 badges back there of people who said they were coming, so some of them may still be coming. And some of them maybe are sick and not here, which is nice, right? But yeah, so, and I know that there's been people online during the day. So I'm really glad that all of you are here. Thank you. Keep talking, keep learning. Again, back to the agenda. So we're having our technical session, and then there is another half hour of networking, and then we're going to close it down, like the 1:45, or you can go to the Ask TRB session. So unless there's a big question, we can clap and go off to lunch and more talking to people. Thank you, everybody.